This is Raina Campbell, your Chief Dream Driver, and welcome to the No Parking Podcast, where through conversations and discussions with creators like yourself, we'll find interesting approaches to help you take your dreams out of park, put them in drive, and ride towards success. Hey, Dream Drivers, welcome to episode 67 of the Dreams and Drive podcast. And today our guest is Rob Hill Sr. And we're going to be talking all about how to find your identity and purpose. Now, you may know Rob from his motivational and inspirational quotes on Instagram, but he's also a very well-known writer, author, speaker, and entrepreneur. And I first spoke to Rob on my BRANDMAKERS series 2 years ago on my blog, rainacampbell.com. And I was recently on SoundCloud and was just going through like old accounts, and I saw that I had posted the audio from the interview about 2 years ago and hadn't looked at it and realized I had gotten so many, like hundreds of plays on the episode. And I said to myself, wow, this episode had so many great gems and I just wanted to share it with the Dreams and Drive audience. I asked Rob, would it be okay for me to repost it? And here we go. Here I am recycling old content, but it's new to you guys and hopefully it's still as impactful. So some of the things that I discussed with Rob include how he launched his writing career, why entrepreneurship isn't for everyone, how to know if you're really ready for change, monetizing your brand, networking, and we really go into a deep discussion into what it means to truly love yourself and have confidence in yourself. So I hope that you guys enjoy that. Before we get to the episode, if you want today's show notes, you can just go to dreamsanddrive.com and click on episode 67. I invite you to follow us on social at Dreams and Drive and use the hashtag Dreams and Drive when listening to this episode. What did you love about it? What really inspired you? What spoke to you? Let us know. And I want to apologize in advance for the audio. It's not the best audio. This was 2 years ago when I was doing interviews via free conference call, but it's the content that really matters here. So I hope that you guys are able to just enjoy it that way. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe to the Dreams and Drive channel wherever you're listening, whether it be SoundCloud, iTunes, wherever, Stitcher, TuneIn, Pocket Casts. Hit subscribe so that you are getting notifications each week when we have a new episode. This one was truly fun to do. He dives into his story similar to how episode 66 guest Nia Phillip did. So I really hope that you guys enjoy that. All right, so let's get to it.
Thank you so much for agreeing to do this BRANDMAKERS series. It's a series I've been doing on my blog for a few months now, and I've been interviewing a lot of influencers that inspire me and kind of getting the story behind their brand. So I was really happy when your team said that you were, able to do it, and I'm excited to talk to you today.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, too. I appreciate any time somebody extends their platform to me. I appreciate you having me.
Okay. So, Rob, tell me, I read a lot, I follow you on social media. I've looked at a lot of your interviews you've done online, and I guess I know from what you've written about your story and what inspired you to get writing. But what do you think was the most important part of your beginning story? Is there something that really stands out to you in your early days on what inspired you?
Yeah, it was the fact that I didn't have any identity. Everything I had built my bravado or, what I prided Rob off of wasn't really real. People knowing you, popularity, having certain status and stuff like that. It's not really real. But once I started tapping more into myself and, a lot of things happened to me, like my son being born or joining the military or just falling out with my family that, encouraged me to tap more into myself. And it was when I was able to establish my identity, like who I wanted to really be in this world, that my life started changing.
So what was it like for you to establish an identity? How does one go about actually doing that? For me, it was reading. And that's one thing I suggest to everyone. Reading for me some days is meditation, man. Just sitting there with everything off, me in a book, it really worked for me. And what I did was I just used my time. I noticed that I would start having certain downtimes in my days with the Navy, especially on deployments. So what I would do is read. I used to order books and have them shipped to the boat every week.
And I just started trying to sharpen my mind. And lo and behold, when I, started doing that, I became a better writer. I was able to articulate the things that I was feeling and seeing and, all of that much better. And that ultimately helped me understand myself.
Mm-hmm. So let me rewind a little bit. So I know you had some trouble. You had a son, and you decided to go to the Navy. Can you kind of walk me through those first years and how you kind of came to where you are today?
Well, we'll say I was just inexperienced in life, and I thought I knew a lot more than I did. So I didn't really respect authority, be it my parents or anyone else. And I kind of put them in a very tough position where they had to, choose the family over me, so to speak. We won't say over me, but, it was just a priority. I wasn't bringing the best energy or attention to the house. And that's just, from being selfish and living on your own accord. So I was at Norfolk State, and I just wasn't doing well. I was trying to work a full-time job so I could have some, be able to afford somewhere to live and stuff. And then, things just really wasn't working. I sucked at school. I flunked out, was on probation. I had to write a letter and stuff to get back in, and then I flunked out again after that. And then finally I just joined the Navy. I understood that, it was me choosing for me at that time, really wasn't working out like the things that I was choosing. So I decided it was time to remove myself from it all. I needed that consistency. I needed that challenge. And the Navy kind of, joining the Navy kind of gave it to me for real.
So I was reading or I guess I was watching the interview, and you talked about how you started out with 22 people on your email list, right? And now it's over 400,000. How did you build your brand? Like, how did you become Rob Hill Sr., the person that we all know on, social media and in books and tours? What do you think were, like, the beginning things that you did to build your brand?
I've always prided myself on authenticity. I never really tried to prove to people I was deep or smart or anything. I just expressed myself in a way that I understood. And I wasn't scared to put it out there, and I wasn't scared to deem my own thoughts valuable enough to be quoted. And if they weren't going to be quoted by anybody else, then they were going to be quoted by me. But the funny thing about believing in yourself is if you do it consistently, other people start to believe in you. And if you keep going and you're contributing something of value, because I truly believe that what I was writing and what I write, is something valuable. Maybe not to everyone, but it means something to, a few people. And if you keep doing that, and you help a few people get through some rough times, and eventually they tell other people. And the thing that solidified my brand, and continues to make it strong is the word of mouth aspect. I said something one time that mattered to one person. That one person deemed it worthy enough to share to, people in their life, in their text messages or people on their social media platforms. Some of those one persons happen to be famous. It's really just trying to contribute something of value. And then lo and behold, people start, catching on. I tell young writers, I tell everybody, the only difference between me and any other writer or aspiring author is the fact that I deemed my opinions valuable enough to be put in book format. There's no genius in that. It's just really I loved what I was saying, and I thought it valuable enough to be put in book format, and I convinced people around me that it was valuable enough to do so. And, that's kind of what is the core of my brand to me, just trying to contribute some value to people, Were
there any challenges you faced in those days when you were really building, or are there any challenges you still face, I should say?
Oh, yeah. It's a new challenge every day, or 10 new challenges. It depends on what you're trying to do. But for me, it was really just quieting, the noise. Really committing to developing myself as a person. What do I think? What do I like? What makes me smile? What makes me happy? And asking myself those questions, because we all think we know. We all just, oh, yeah, sure, I trust myself. I'm supposed to, but half the people with trust issues have them because they know they can't trust themselves. And it's really, to me, it was, just trying to sharpen myself so that when, the blows came, that I didn't doubt me. And it was really just, like I said, through reading, through trying to put myself and taking chances and putting myself around people I knew were stronger or more talented or had more connections and, not feeling insecure, but just understanding that my time would come. And that's really, what it was about. But it's a challenge, man. Entrepreneurship is scary. You could do the work. Like, you could do this show, you could speak here, you could speak there, and those checks might not come in for 30 to 45 days. Next thing you know, you're digging a hole. You know what I mean? And that's that's the low ball of it. For real, it can get worse. But you thinking, oh, I'm gonna have this money and blah blah blah, and and then the accounting department does something, and you're like, damn, I might want to quit right now because this is tough. But it's just finding a way. It's finding a way. And entrepreneurship has really helped my ability to respect myself because I know I ain't quit.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about that. I like how you said entrepreneurship has really helped you respect yourself. Is there a certain aspect of entrepreneurship that you had to learn from the ground up when you were starting? I know that you said you've only been a full-time entrepreneur for like the past 2 to 3 years, but what has that journey been like for you?
It's like I said, it's shown me a lot about myself. I've probably thought about quitting probably 1,000 times. And I just haven't. I haven't allowed it to be an option for me. Every time I've got close to that edge, I've come up with something creative, or I've come up with something, or I read something that made me remember why I love what I'm doing, or I met a person who said I made a difference. It's really just those instances that kind of help. But I learned that entrepreneurship isn't really for everybody. I used to think that it was like everybody's an entrepreneur. But I realized just, having friends who try to be entrepreneurs, having friends who have successfully become them, some people add value to a dream that's already established. Yeah, I was just saying, like, some people help. They join the machine and make it stronger. Like you have a kid right now whose dream is to grow up and maybe he wants to be an executive at Rock Nation. But if Jay ain't follow his dream and actually establish that structure, then this kid's dream would have, virtually never been valid. And that kid is not necessarily going to be an entrepreneur in the same manner that Jay is, but he's going to be living in his dream, And I just think that sometimes I used to think like it's for everybody, and I used to, try to encourage everybody to take that jump. But now it's more so like, what's really going to bring you peace, what's really going to make you happy, and follow that. Because being a part of a company, is a beautiful thing. We need people who want to be a part of companies. That's the only way I'll ever have one, or you, or anybody else. And people that bring a lot of value to them too.
That's so true, and I feel like a lot of people don't understand, as you were saying, how much work is involved. And at the same time, there's a lot of people who want something, but they're afraid to get started. What would you say to that person who has a dream, but just can't seem to, get the ball rolling? Or can't, something's holding them back. What would you say to that person?
I had this teacher one time, because when I decided that I wanted to get out of the Navy and be a public speaker or whatever, I took, a couple speech courses. And I had this teacher named Professor Jason Van Gardner, and he gave me the quote, "Discontent is the catalyst of change." So a lot of people say they want to do a lot of things. A lot of people say, they want to follow this, but this or whatever. But what I find is when a person is discontent, when they are unhappy enough, they'll make a change. And a lot of people just really got it. Like, do you want to be scared your whole life, or do you want to live your dream? You know, like one of my favorite quotes lately is off a J. Cole album, and he said, you know, do you want to be another that ain't never had things? The blank, of course, is nigga, but I know you're. But, you know, he asked a simple question. Like, a lot of people say they want this and want that, but when it's time to actually take the risk or make the sacrifice, they don't actually do it. So my thing is, you just got to ask the question. Like me, I knew I could not take another enlistment in the Navy. I knew for a fact that would not end well. So what did I do? You know, I took a chance on me. You know, and it wasn't a blind chance. Like I said, I've taken courses. I've, you know, did online certifications that maybe weren't even, you know, respected by some people. But what it does is that, you know, you learn principle. And that's all I've ever been committed to doing, learning principle. And then I'll go out there. I ain't scared to follow my face.
And as a man of color, you know, well, I'm sorry. Keep going.
No, you're fine. I was just saying, I know I'll get up. I'm not really worried about it.
You know, and as a black man, you know, I feel like a black man in America, and I'm not trying to be cliche with this, but do you ever feel like there's an extra burden, you know, that you have this platform where you're able to speak to people? Do you ever feel like as a man of color that you carry some extra burden that is put on you because of, you know, you're a man, you're a black man, and there's not a lot of men who are out there, you know, speaking what you speak. So talk to me about how you feel about that.
Do I feel a burden? No, actually not at all. I won't be, if I do make it to a level where people respect me as great, I won't be the first great black man, and I know I won't be the last. We've had thousands and thousands of years of great black men. So the burden, no, I actually feel responsibility to carry the torch. I understand my history well enough beyond, and I'm not talking about just the 1700s or post-slavery or, you know, Africans in America. I mean, I just understand that I have a history far before that, and I know I have a right to even those ancestors. But, of course, the ones in the civil rights and even those fighting today, you know, I feel a responsibility to them. But is that a burden? In no way. It's actually an honor to be able to carry that torch to me.
So that's so true. And I just feel like, you know, maybe the reason why I asked you that is because I sometimes feel as if, you know, when people of color are, you know, get these platforms, they're always judged against, you know, their race or something else. I just wanted to get your opinion on that. But I kind of want to shift the conversation a little bit to the actual brand and the business of what you do. How did you get the courage to start putting, you know, to start monetizing your brand? So I know you have ebooks, you have an app, you go on tours. You know, why did you feel as if you needed to monetize what you wanted to do?
I want to grow. You know, money is a tool, and it actually allows you to grow. And it was me, you know, finding authentic ways to do that. And it was really just, you know, making a decision that you can set a price. Like, you can make a wood thing and you can set a price, right? And, you know, technically you're going into business, but you can't force anyone to buy it. You can literally put it up line, have the nicest store or whatever, and people can just click right past it. So, you know, when I told you earlier, I just decided to put my stuff in book format. It was taking a chance. It was like, look, I think it's valuable enough to be in book format. Let me know if I've made an impression on you, you know, through the email list or whatever other channels I was using through my blogs and stuff. If I've made enough of impression on you for you to buy this, then I'm in business. And lo and behold, you know, almost 25,000 books later, I'm in business, you know. And that was, I set the price, and I may have did that, but I couldn't force anyone to buy it. I can't force anybody to support it or to tell a friend about it or, you know, anything like that. It's really just, you know, people deciding that your stuff is valuable, but you got to create a product. You got to be confident enough to even give them a chance, you know?
Definitely. And one thing I know...
I knew I wasn't a blogger. No, I'm just saying, like, I knew I wasn't a blogger. I wasn't going to be able to sit and write editorials every day and keep up with current events. I don't like talking about people business enough to do that. So I'm like, all right, Rob, you ain't going to be no blogger, but you do need to leverage this. You have a son. So, books work better for me.
Mm-hmm. And that's a good segue into what, the next question I want to ask you. It has to do with networking. So I know you definitely know the power of your network is your net worth. Oh, I'm saying the quote wrong. Your network is your net worth. So how important has networking and building relationships been for your growth as a business person and as a being? Like how important has that been for you?
Well, I think people are what really make you rich. It's just like, to me, I've had the privilege of meeting so many people who inspire me, so many people who add a color to my world. If if I wasn't, if I didn't get out and network, I'll take it to, kind of a child analogy, but how a kid has a crayon box and he got 24 and he thinks those are the colors in the world. And then you meet this kid who got 64 and you're like, wait a minute, let me use that emerald green. You know what I mean? It's like meeting new people from different places and, establishing real relationships has helped me, see life different. It's expanded my mind. I know it's more than just forest green in the world. And I'm excited about that. So, I hate to use kid analogies, but I got a 6-year-old, so I kind of try to break everything down to that simplest form,
No, that's true. I feel like a lot of the stuff that you say is very relatable. You say things in a way that people understand them. So that's something I definitely appreciate about you and your work. So don't feel as if you have to explain your analogies.
Yeah, because if I gotta go deep into the stars and the moon and stuff, I'm gonna lose you because I don't even know that stuff. I try to break stuff down simple, But yeah, network is everything. It is literally everything.
Mm-hmm. So can you give me an example in your life that where you building relationships with people really opened up doors for you?
Perfect example. My manager is Kenny Burns, and Kenny has done a lot of great things over the past 20 years in hip hop, pop culture. And he's been incredibly influential in me growing within the last year. Through him, I've able to meet a lot of people, and I've built relationships with brands off of his introduction. So, that's always my perfect example of how. And I met him because a couple years ago I was on a seed planting mission. So I would save up some money, buy a hotel, take a flight, and go spend some time in that city and try to reach out to people, who I thought, were doing good business or people I admired, that type of stuff. So I went to Atlanta and I reached out to him. I DM'd him actually, and I said, I'm in the city for a couple of days. I'd love to sit down and talk to you, man. I'll take you to lunch. He reached back. We exchanged numbers, and from that conversation, we've built an incredible, from that lunch, because he accepted. From that lunch, we built an incredible working relationship, but also, he's become an older brother for me. But I would have never knew if I didn't reach out, if I would have been too cool, or if I would have been thinking I'm going to just sit back, he'll come to Virginia eventually. Nah, you got to go out there and make the relationship.
That is so true, and that's something that I've also learned. It's just people will see that initiative, right? People appreciate you and respect you when they know that you're out there and that you're taking that initiative. So that's something I really think that, the readers will really take away from this. But question for you, Rob. So I know, you are somebody who motivates a lot of people, inspires a lot of people. What motivates you?
People. It's so weird to say that, but people, I don't know. I love knowing that there's another level. I love knowing that I can improve, and I love knowing that if I improve, it has a good impact on everyone around me. And that inspires me. But also I have personal goals that I'm inspired by. Like, I like seeing people win. Like, you know, when Diddy gets something or Jay-Z buy a new brand, I know that they're big and whatever, but I love that because I know that they're going to employ more people with that opportunity, you know, and I kind of look past what's popular. Like, I'm really into that. So I'm inspired by the opportunity to do the same. Like, I want to be able to bring stuff back to Virginia or bring stuff to anywhere that, you know, I call home and, you know, inflict some positive change on them. You know, so that's really what inspires me, that opportunity. But also, you know, leaving this legacy. Like, I gave my son my name. You know, he's a junior. So I want that name to open doors before he has to open his mouth.
And I know you have the 1,000 Kings Foundation where you raised $10,000 and gave it back to the community. Why do you think you going back to the community and sharing your story is so important, and how can others do the same?
Wait, let me make sure I got your question.
I'm sorry. Sometimes my questions get a little complicated. I'll just ask one question. So, you know, you have your 1,000 Kings Foundation, and I think that the reason why that's so successful is because people connect your story with your mission, right? So why do you think going back to the community, you know, where you came from is really important for your, you know, for your growth?
Well, people got to see that there's options from here. That was the best thing I wanted, you know, for the young men in my community and other communities in my area. There's options. People may not tell you about them, but there are options. And if you do enough research, if you really want them bad enough, you know, you'll find out. Most of the people from my neighborhood or my area, they're either athletes, you know, or some type of entertainment, or, you know, they might go into the military or something. But you don't feel like anything is possible. You don't feel like you can be a young, cool author who gets to travel and be pictured with celebrities and stuff, like, you know, the same way a rapper would. You don't think that that's possible. But I like letting them to know that, you know, you make you cool. The stuff about you is so divine, it's so necessary, and it can be addictive to other people if you love it enough. You know, if you love what's in you enough, it will become valuable to someone. I promise you. That's just the way love goes. But it's important to give back to the community for me is because I just want people where I came. I feel like if the community gets worse after I leave it, then I should have never been there. But since I was there, it is my responsibility to make it better. Nothing I touch should get worse. I'm not saying I'm going to be able to fix and better everything, but at least I'm going to improve it in some way. My $10,000 didn't save anyone's life in the community, but what it did do was inspire a couple kids to work harder for their families. It inspired a couple mothers to be a little bit stronger on their sons and their daughters, to push them to accomplish something, you know. And if nothing else, that has value, and it's necessary.
And is there anything that you're working on personally or, you know, professionally that you think will help take you to, you know, the next level or to the next stage of your career?
Yeah, I choose to believe that everything I put out is that. That's the only reason why I'm confident enough to share it. Now, everything doesn't work that way, which is why I'm on my fifth book. The first one didn't take me to the New York Times bestseller or whatever. So I'm on the fifth one. And then if that one, I'll be on the sixth one, and I'll be on the seventh one. But it's really just, you know, I just finished my book, and it'll be out next year. Well, hopefully this year. And it'll be published through Atria, you know, who's under, you know, imprint of Simon & Schuster. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about releasing part 2, to the Audacity of a Good Heart. You know, it just sounds better to me. It feels better. And I'm excited about doing tours and shows. I'm getting a chance to share the stage with a lot of people this year. And I wish I could tell you, but I have to wait till I lock those things in. You know, we have a lot of good stuff in the works. You know, I promise you a lot of good stuff. So we just got the app. The Heart Healer app is out now. We made that available this year. You know, it has quotes. You can book tickets. You can get books. You know, that type of stuff in there.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything about this life that you're living now? You know, you get to, you know, meet a lot of celebrities. You know, there's a lot of perks to like your life now. Is there anything about it that you didn't expect would happen, or something that just surprises you that you think other people will find interesting?
I like painting. I don't really share it too often, but I love painting. I'm not the best painter, but I'm learning. I just started this past summer. I love drinking hot tea. Most of the time I write, I'm drinking some hot tea. I love tea, period. Iced tea, sweet tea, hot tea, it doesn't matter. I can swim really well.
Well, in the Navy, I would hope you could swim.
Well, it's funny because so many people in the Navy just swim good enough to pass that test. But, you know, not everybody, you know, but I think I'm pretty good. Like, I can do, you know, 4 types of strokes and stuff like that.
So I have a question that I ask everybody, and I want to ask you this before you have to go, but what makes you shine? What do you think is one of your personal strengths that really, really sets you apart from other people and has helped catapult your career and your life?
It's just my awareness of myself, the identity thing. I have a very, very solid core. I know who I am. I'm confident in who I am, and it's not anything anyone can say to make me doubt it. Yeah, I have some days where I'm more confident than others, but it's really just the identity. And I know I don't have to do anything I don't want to do, per se. And when I say that, it's like, you know, nobody could back me in a corner and, you know, it's either this or that. It's like, nah, it's either I'm doing something that I feel at peace about, or I'm not doing it at all. Or I'm doing something that I feel will help people, or I'm not doing it at all. Or I'm doing something that I feel is happy. So it's just my, you know, my awareness of me. I don't feel like I got to try to beat anybody else. You know, and I think that kind of radiates through everything I do. But it also, hopefully, you know, is my goal to encourage other people to do the same.
And last but not least, what do you think, or what's been the best business advice you've received, and how has it helped you?
I've received so much good advice, but I'll give this. It all stops when you stop. And that simple quote has always been powerful to me because it reminds me that it's in my hands. I read this book called The 7 Decisions from Andy Andrews, and in it says, "We never lack time nor money, only an idea." So, you know, comparing that quote and it all stops when you stop, I just really realized that, like, it's on me. I can come up with an idea. You know, if I can't sit on the couch, I ain't going to get it, so I got to read books. I got to learn new perspectives, but I can come up with something, you know. So, yeah, it's just that business advice. It's just never stopping, always finding a way.
Well, thank you so much, Rob. I'm just here feeling like I'm at one of your tours or, you know, in the audience. And I just really appreciated talking to you, and I think that what you shared really, I think it'll just really inspire people. And that's the thing. I love talking to people, and I love hearing their stories. And all the people I've interviewed, everybody has a unique take, and everybody has something special that they share. So thank you so much.
Of course. And like I said, I appreciate you extending your platform to me. I wish you nothing but growth and everything, you know, your heart desires from here on out.
All right, so that's a wrap for episode 67 with Rob Hill Sr. I hope that you guys enjoyed listening to him share his story as well as his advice on how you can find your identity and purpose. It was so fun listening to this episode again. And for anyone out there who is thinking about your own evolution and thinking about how far you've come, don't be afraid to go back and promote your old work. This was a good interview. The sound may not have been the best, but I really did think that Rob shared a lot. And I even asked him before reposting it, and he said that he really enjoyed the gems from this episode, so he had no problem with sharing it with the Dreams and Drive audience. Once again, if you have not already joined our Dreams and Drive community, you can do so at dreamsanddrive.com/join. And I also invite you to subscribe to the channel. So if you're listening in on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, wherever, Stitcher, TuneIn, Pocket Cast, hit the subscribe button, because that's going to be how you get updates when we have new episodes out. And if you love this episode, share it with a friend. The Dreams and Drive community grows when you guys share it with people that you love and share the episodes with people that you think will really get something out of it. So I appreciate it every time that you guys do that. Keep dreaming, keep driving. We'll chat again in episode 68. And our guest is going to be the lovely Tanya Rapley. And she's going to be talking all about how to change your money mindset. And Tanya's story is fabulous. I know that you guys will enjoy it. So yeah, I'm signing out for now. Talk to you guys soon.